What up my awesome viewers, Rio Gion here. Is this the peak slab Android phone? And my honest answer is yes, absolutely it is. So, with the LG V60, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen some videos or a lot of videos about it, but honestly, seeing videos is one thing, actually experiencing the phone every day for the past however long and hopefully ongoing is something that's entirely different. Because you can see videos about people talking about the device, but when you actually have the phone in your hands, you feel it, you touch it, you use it every single day, see, this is when you truly know the difference. And honestly, I really think if you're looking for an Android phone, that's a slab phone, that's a regular Candybar phone, honestly, the higher the tier you go, like the more later devices, you're talking S22s and Pixels, ROG phones, those like higher end gaming phones. The only other real like direct competitor to this phone is I think are the Sony Xperia phones, but those have a tendency to overheat, at least on video. So that is something that's going to be interesting to experience. Hopefully I can experience that one day and tell you guys how it's like and things like that. So that is something that I look forward to, hopefully sometime in the future. But as of now, for 280 to 350, that's the range. It depends on when you get it, where you get it from, and it also depends on what type of carrier it is. Because if it's like Verizon, I think those go for like 240. AT&T, which is this one, this is the AT&T unlock one, this one goes for 280. I think the T-Mobile ones go for 290 to 350. I think so. I think the T-Mobile one is the more desirable model, at least that's from my experience. It can be drastically different from when I post it and when you see it and things like that. So that is something to keep in mind on in terms of pricing, because this is a used phone. I don't think you can buy this new unless somehow someone kept it new and sell it for a higher price or something like that as like a collectible item. Then I have no idea. But this phone is like the Wild West in terms of pricing, because it can vary. I mean, if you find it off of like OfferUp or Craigslist, you can negotiate price, so that's also there. But long story short, it can vary in terms of pricing. And so we have that out of the way. In terms of actual specs, you have 6.8 inch screen, Snapdragon 865 with a dual camera setup. This is a time of flight sensor, selfie camera, headphone jack, micro SD, and 1080p 60 Hz. So that's something to note if those of you that really care for a higher refresh rate, which honestly, I use phones that are 120 Hz. My Fold 3 has 120 Hz. I use this phone, it has 60 Hz. Do not let people fool you into thinking that you have to have 120 or 90 or whatever. Oh, I have a high refresh rate phone, I cannot go back. You can definitely go back and it will be just fine. This phone feels really snappy itself. So even though it's only 60 Hz, it felt good. Like, it felt really smooth. So there's that. And in terms of all of the lifestyle features, as a Juan Bagnell would say it, yeah, these are really good features that are honestly are just not present. Well, not really present, because the Sony Xperia phones still have them, but not really present in like modern slab phones. As in, you don't have a headphone jack, you don't have micro SD, and that kind of sucks actually. Yeah, because if you were to go from a device where, let's say, if you started off with a device that doesn't have a headphone jack, does not have micro SD, basically an iPhone, you are used to that. So having these features is just better quality of life for you, and then most likely you can't go back. But if you're someone that comes from old Android, which is what I am, that because I came from a Note 9, so I'm used to headphone jacks, I'm used to micro SD. Not having them in exchange for the Fold is an exchange that I mentally prepared myself to make, because of I lose 2 features and I gain 1 feature, and the feature that I gain is really awesome, but that's a different story for a different day. But going back to a regular Candybar slab style phone with micro SD and with a headphone jack, it feels so good to go back. It really does feel so good to go back. The only real downside is that I am so used to a phone that folds, going from a phone that folds into a phone that doesn't fold. It's just kind of like something that does take some time to get used to, but once I just sort of mentally forget that I have a Fold and just kind of deal with this phone, I felt like it's really not that bad. And honestly, this phone is like $200 to $300. I think the Fold 3 is about $800 or so. Price are going down day after day. So yeah, there's that. Don't get the new Fold. There's no point in spending that much money on a new Fold. It's not worth it. But if you do, links down below there too. Okay, so honestly, I feel like this is like peak Android. Like if you are a Android diehard user, a phone like this is how you would really represent, because it has all of the really awesome features. And then of course, if you're an emulation gamer like I am, you definitely want a controller. And this feels great. Like, this feels really good. Assuming that it works from time to time. I think this is more of like the controller's fault rather than the phone's fault, but sometimes it just doesn't read. Maybe the controller itself is just getting old and it just does not want to read. Of course it does not want to read on camera while I'm trying to prove a point. Read. Wow, it will just not read. Interesting. Okay, well, anyways, I can fix this, and then, yeah, but I'm pretty sure you guys get the point, because you guys seen videos before how this works, assuming that I post them in order, which I don't, so whenever that happens. But yes, having a physical controller that actually works, which this technically kind of does, but yeah, it's probably getting old. That could have been it. So yeah, having a physical controller that actually works, that actually sticks directly to the phone so that you don't have latency, on a nice big 6.8-inch screen. That's really friggin' awesome. Actually, watching videos on this phone feels really good, as long as you don't use the Fold immediately afterwards. But if this is your only phone, you will be happy with this phone. I really think you will. So there's that. And overall, yeah, that's just kind of like my 2 cents, my thoughts and feelings for the V60, and honestly I think this is peak Android slap phone. So if you're in a market for something like this and you don't mind it being like, you know, it's the software updates are still there, but I think this is probably the last year or so. It's probably gonna go away soon. Cameras aren't the best, but they're very usable cameras. And then lifestyle features are really good. And the only real downside is the fingerprint scanner. This thing, like, the fingerprint scanner to me just doesn't really work that well, so I just don't bother using it. Yeah, so there's that. But yep. Anyways, if you're new to the channel, click subscribe, thumbs up, bell for more content. Everything here will be linked down below as well. You can purchase them and support me at the same time at no extra cost to you. Anyways, you guys stay awesome.